Good morning and welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. This morning, weather and climate experts have declared that 2023 will be the warmest year on record. Of course, you know it disproportionately impacts Black Americans and Hispanic Americans. Clarence Thomas's law clerk's racial history is questioned, but guess who shot down a judicial investigation into her actions? The Department of Education is threatening to withhold federal funds from schools that do nothing about anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and discrimination against Jews and Palestinians. We'll tell you about that this morning. And Sheila Jackson Lee, her quest to become mayor of Houston will continue in a runoff next month. And Timbaland is apologizing to Britney Spears and her fans for calling for Justin Timberlake to, quote, muzzle her because of her autobiography that blasted Justin Timberlake, including the insinuation that Justin forced her, or at least coerced her to have an abortion some years ago. We will tell you all about that this morning as we prepare to head west for the next few days. And so I'm getting a note about Kamala Harris, and I have no idea. My head was buried in the sand. I was packing and stuff yesterday, so I need to be reminded of what's up with Kamala Harris. David Youngblood says, I need only to recall my own childhood where there were 4 seasons, and now we may get 2, sometimes 3. Absolutely, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm a fall guy. I like the fall, but we go from winter to summer. And even the winters, if you live somewhere in the Northeast, they have been extremely mild. So we don't even know what season it is sometimes. And just a few days ago, it was like 80 something degrees in the Northeast, when this time of year typically is like 40. But here we are as the year creeps to a close. New climate data shows that the global average temperature is already the highest ever recorded, and that the year is virtually certain to be the hottest in observational history. The data compiled by the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service shows that from January to October, average temperatures across the Earth were 1.43 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial average, a level dangerously close to the 1.5 degrees Celsius warming threshold that climate scientists have long warned would bring significant challenges for people worldwide. The average experience so far this year is also 0.10 degrees Celsius higher than the 10-month average for 2016, which is the current record holder for the warmest year. And so after months of dangerous and deadly heat, including heat waves across the globe, October continued that trend, including breaking that trend. Power 96 says, ooh, it's 85 degrees in New Orleans. Yeah, it's hot. And so the Gallup Black Voices, Gallup poll, they do a poll on just about everything. And they have a section called Black Voices, Black Voices. Other, so many outlets added Black Voices after the death of George Floyd. I didn't hear of Gallup Black Voices before. So maybe it was there, maybe it wasn't. Don't know, but I just know that everybody added Black Voices. Of course, now they're getting rid of it because it's no longer in style, it's no longer chic. But Gallup's Black Voices show where all of this extreme weather hurts one population more than others, one ethnic group more than others, which is, of course, Black Americans. Everything disproportionately. That word, like I said, I don't think I use that word at all. Now I've used it a million times since I've been with the Black Press. and I've been with the black press 10 years, every single time. So, folks, we'll see what the rest of this month and December brings, but according to scientists, it doesn't matter what the temperatures are the rest of the way. 2023 will stand as the warmest on record. Okay, so here's the deal with Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. So the House, indeed, they censured uh, Tlaib, the Congresswoman out of Michigan, but the House tried to do something else. This is where they take up your time, folks. Why nothing is been done in this current House of Representatives, because they have nothing but uh, revenge and anger and carrying Donald Trump's water. But they did not pass a push that would have defunded the vice president's office. 106 Republicans voted to defund the vice president's office. Now, maybe David Youngblood could help me with a little history here. And if Austin is watching, maybe he can uh, help me with a little history. I've never before heard of this where the Congress even considered a vote to defund the office of the vice president, the second most important job, the second most important office there is. And yet, the attacks on Kamala Harris, sometimes, we're going to have sit down. Now, we're going to have to sit down with Kamala Harris, the vice president. And no, 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 she has. She's had meetings with the black press before. She's called them sometimes. A couple of those she's called herself. So, um, we're gonna have to call her up. We're gonna have to sit her down and talk to her, at the family barbecue. Somebody's gonna be cooking some ribs. We're gonna make sure that her hands have all the sauce on and everything, and her mouth got the sauce on it and stuff and everything like that, and give her some Kool-Aid and some lemonade and all that stuff, and talk to her about this stuff. And what I want to know from Vice President Harris, with all the work she's done and how folks continue to try and minimize her, is it worth it? Has it been worth it? Maybe it has, and I would imagine she would say, if David Youngblood said add some red soda water. Angela Connolly says she wants to be there, and David says no. I have not heard of it either. Of them trying to defund the office of vice president. The hate runs deep with Republicans, he says. Southbound 3000 is even chiming. People are chiming in on this one. This happened only because of her skin color. Southbound 3000 says, my question is, why isn't her husband, and I don't know that word that last word there, Southbound, Soski. I have no idea what you're trying to convey uh, about the second gentleman, as they call him. But I'm sure she'll say, yes, it's been worth it. And she will tell you that about the advances that the Biden Harris administration has made for Black America, the different things that they've accomplished, particularly, she has led the whole HBCU initiatives in which they've given more money to HBCUs than any administration in the history of the country has even dreamed of or had nightmares of doing. Mike V says the second gentleman is always absent. He's never vocal in her defense or interest. Now, I'm going to say this, and I could be way off base, Mike V, but I think that it's probably more designed, probably more instructive. He's for him not to get involved. We have not heard vice presidents, because there's always been a male vice president, of course. We've not heard their wives get involved when it comes to anything, really. In fact, we barely know the wives of the vice presidents. So I don't know that, there was that one incident, if you recall, and it's probably just before she became vice president. I think they may have been on the vice presidential trail, on the campaign trail, where some nut ran up on stage, and there was Doug. Doug was like, "Hey, excuse me, fake news. That's my wife." And he was Secret Service that day. So let's not get it twisted. Doug's gonna defend his wife, but I really believe that politically they have decided it's not a good look. So David says there's no doubt that it's been worth it. History sometimes calls you. And that's exactly, I believe that's exactly what the vice president would say. Exactly that. History sometimes calls you. That sounds like Kamala Harris. And Power 96, right? He says her work for HBCUs is second to none. Southbound 3000, why isn't her husband speaking out about the racist remarks toward his wife? Then he'd be speaking all the time. And I get it. I'm not, listen, I, I wouldn't sit on the sidelines, but I understand politics, at least that part of politics, what they're trying to do, or how this spin happy social media world would turn anything he says against him and hurt and not necessarily against him, but against the campaign, the Biden Harris campaign. Angela Connolly says black men defend their women more than other races, in her opinion. Mike V says Joe Biden was active. Michelle Obama, and again, Mike V. They were first ladies, not second ladies. And David Youngblood says that he'd be swatting. He's been every day swatting flies, injuring him and his family. Exactly. But again, Mike and Southbound, I get where you guys are coming from on that. It's, again, I'm not an expert, but I do firmly believe. In fact, when we sit down at the barbecue, Angela Connolly with Kamala Harris, we're going to ask that question. You're going to ask about Doug. It's a touchy subject, I'm sure, when it comes to couples. So anyway, they try to. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Okay, I'm gonna start sounding like somebody who. Anyway, let's go. Let's move on to Uncle Clarence. The federal courts have spiked an investigation into racist text messages sent by a conservative activist turned law clerk who got jobs working alongside two federal judges with the full throated support of Clarence Thomas. In 2015 and 2016, Crystal Clanton was key. Well, she was key. She was a key person at Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk's conservative nonprofit that was trying to attract all these young people. She got a picture with Donald Trump's son. She mobilized high school activists and trashed liberal academics in an appearance on Fox News. But it all came crashing down when the New Yorker reported in 2017 that she had texted a friend, quote, "I hate black people, like screw them all." That's exact quotes, except to use a different word for screw. The existence of the text sent when she was in college was confirmed by the Washington Post last year. A source also shared a screenshot of the text with the insider, on the condition that it not be published. And after her exile, Clanton, of course, this is a white individual. She lived with Uncle Clarence Thomas and his wife Jeannie. She also landed clerkships. He got her two federal judges to have her clerk. It's unbelievable. And then when a federal judicial panel ordered that an investigation takes place into whether Clinton actually sent the text, which apparently she did, but a decision came down last week, and they decided to kill the investigation with the one and only Uncle Clarence Thomas stepping in. He says, "I know Crystal Clinton." This is a direct quote. "I know Crystal Clinton and I know bigotry." He looks in the mirror. That's how he does. Bigotry is antithetical to her nature. He also claimed without evidence that she was a victim of defamation. She herself has never claimed to be a victim of defamation. But Uncle Clarence decides that he's going to throw that in there. Yep. Power 96 says Uncle Clarence loved the mayonnaise. He probably let Crystal spank him. He would be maybe we shouldn't go there, right? He would be the type that would be into that stuff where he gets beaten and stuff like that for pleasure. Anyway, it's just unreal. It's unreal. It's unthinkable, unfathomable. Moving on, the education department is reminding schools and colleges that they have a legal obligation to address incidents of discrimination, particularly those against individuals who are Jewish, Israeli, Muslim, Arab, or Palestinian, and that they could ultimately lose federal funding if they fail to do so. Education Secretary Miguel Cardona said there has been an uptick in complaints filed with the department's Office of Civil Rights in the wake of the Hamas terror attacks on Israel last month. Since October 7th, the office has received 8 or 9 complaints about anti Semitic and Islamophobic incidents on school campuses, he said. The secretary said that he's asking Congress for more money so that we can make sure we're expediting investigations against anti Semitism or Islamophobia. The education department sent guidance to colleges, universities, and K through 12 schools regarding their legal responsibility to provide all students with an environment free from discrimination under Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. He says, I want to provide support for these universities, provide guidance, and if there are egregious acts, I want to make sure that we're investigating. Ultimately, if we have to withhold dollars from a campus refusing to comply, we would. It's it's the right thing to do, yes. But once again, and this is not uh one over the other or whatever, but this is what they do. They put one over the other all the time. Where are all of these policies when it comes to racism? Where are all these policies? Wow. I mean, we saw it, we saw the effect, the big time positive effect that the Asian hate bill, right? We saw that in that the Department of Justice, when some Asian Americans were being assaulted, being attacked simply because they were Asian, America responded. The government responded with the Asian hate bill. Easy passage, right? And this year, just last month, the Department of Justice put out its hate stats, its crime stats regarding hate. Asian hate was found to be down over 90% since the Asian hate bill. Is it that simple? Is it that simple? Because if it is, come on, one must question. You must question, why haven't there been an anti-racism bill? You got the Civil Rights Act, and that is not the Civil Rights Act is not anti-racism. It's not an anti-racism bill. Affirmative action was not about racism, right? It's not about cutting out racism, I should say. None of that's and as Mike V points out, they want to ban black books or books by black authors and DEI initiatives of, and they are banning the DEI initiatives of being struck down left and right and eliminated in corporate America left and right. He says, but they want to protect every other demographic, even those with bunions and ingrown toenails get protection, is what Mike V said. And right. At Power 96 says it took and 100 years, I guess is what the thing is there. 100 years to pass an anti-lynching bill. Imagine that. It was just last year that they passed the anti-lynching bill. And all that basically says is that, okay, okay, good old boys, you can't just run up on Negroes in their homes and pull them out their homes and hang them from a tree anymore legally. And if you do, just make sure nobody see you. Make sure you have on those hoods. Golly. Sheila Jackson Lee, the former Congressional Black Caucus member, is in a race for Houston mayor, and now that race is headed to a runoff because she and state Senator John Whitmire, the two Democrats who breezed past a wide field of candidates in a race dominated by issues of crime, crumbling infrastructure, and potential budget shortfalls, they each failed to get 50% of the vote. So they are going to a runoff next month. If Sheila Jackson Lee wins, she would be Houston's first black female, which is really interesting because, Houston is America's fourth largest city. Of course, since 1995, she has represented Houston in Congress. Whitmire has lapped his rivals in fundraising after 5 decades in the Texas legislature. And there he's credited with helping to drive tough on crime policies while also casting himself as a reformer. Sheila Jackson Lee remains very confident that she's going to win the election or the runoff in this case. She says she's focused on providing for the needs of families and children, as well as prioritizing public safety, creating more jobs for residents, and showing she can be a mayor for, quote, all of the people. Where did we hear that before? For all of the people. I'm president for all the people. Mike V says Rand Paul filibustered the anti-lynching bill. Conservatives backed him. And David Youngblood says John Whitmire got his start in politics as a delegate to George Wallace in 1968. Look at that. So, so Sheila Jackson Lee is going up against one of the good old boys, huh? Mm. Well, they'll have that runoff on December the 9th. And so obviously we'll be among those bringing you the results of that runoff between the long, long time CBC member uh, Sheila Jackson Lee and jo- George Wallace's lapdog, huh? John Whitmire. Mike V says, I don't see how a city like Houston can be on the fence about Sheila Jackson Lee with their black voting numbers. Yeah, it is interesting. That's Mike V brings up a very good point. Hmm. Well, turning our attention to entertainment. During the October 29th Sound Architects, a producer conversation with Timberland at the Kennedy Center in Washington, the legendary producer made a joke about the Justin Timberlake Britney Spears drama on well, he's finding himself having to apologize for it. A viral clip of the video shows Timberland discussing Justin Timberlake's hit song Cry Me a River, which he co-wrote and co-produced. Many believe that the song was about Britney Spears, who dated Justin for 3 years way back when. In the new Britney Spears memoir, which is actually a New York Times bestseller, she discusses her reaction to the hit song, along with other details of their relationship, which ended again more than 2 decades ago. Brittany writes about Justin using a black scent. We talked about that. Justin trying to talk black. When he met Genuine, of all people, he just went. I mean, she describes how he just went all fanboy and started talking as she put it, black. But she also talked about how he pushed her to get an abortion, and then he broke up with her via text message. Brittany, it's over. It's like back in elementary school and junior high school. It's quits. It's quitsies. Justin Timberlake is a punk. He's a punk. I quit you, Brittany. He texted her. Didn't have the guts to just say, "Hey, let's talk." You know, when you get that, I think we need to talk. You know what's coming, but he couldn't even give her that. He couldn't even give her that. She says about the abortion, if it had been left up to her alone, she never would have done it. And yet, Justin was so sure that he didn't want to be a father, she said. Well, Timberland jumped into the fray. He says, quote, she's going crazy, right? Which which is something else that perhaps he should be apologizing for. I mean, come on. This young lady has gone through the mill and back. Mike V says, what was Justin saying? Like, yo, yo, word to your mother. What up, homie? That's exactly what he said. What up, homie? Word to your mother. Who said that? It was in the song. Word. Oh gosh, yeah, Vanilla Ice. Word to your mother. You knew he wasn't genuine when that line came out, right? You knew that wasn't real. You knew he wasn't who he said he was. Uh, Vanilla Ice. What's his real name again? His real name tells you who he is. Um, when he at the end of that song, word to your mother. Come on. And then so Timberland goes on to say, I wanted to call. This is what he said at the Kennedy Center. I wanted to call and say, hey, JT, man, you got to put a muzzle on that girl. And of course, he got all types of blowback, rightfully so. The stuff that she's now, it's an argument. You know, that stuff. Should she be some of the stuff she's revealed? Should she be revealing? Did she talk to other because she it's not just Justin she's like throwing under the bus. She just threw him under the bus and backed the bus over, but she's throwing other people under the bus too. And we understand that, she has struggled with apparently struggled with mental health issues and other things, but and then the family just from the outside looking in anyway appears to have really the father, the mother, even her sister, it seems to have just done her so dirty. But Timberland, no, Timberland got to recognize, read the room, Timberland. You cannot do that. He went live on TikTok to apologize. Um, he got a million followers on TikTok. Um, and then he shared his the video of his apology on Twitter or X. And he says, I apologize to the Britney fans and her. He mentioned the Britney fans first, which tells you a lot too. He's more concerned with the fans. He said he had, I guess he had a change of heart because he read a comment asking him about how His ask him about his feelings toward women in general. Timberland is something else. You can't do that, Timberland. See, this is why. See, you guys, y'all keep going to these platforms like DJ Vlad and stuff. Y'all need to come on home. So, when you home, we put you on the couch. We have some Kool-Aid. Like Power 96 provides the Kool-Aid. Probably not enough sugar in the Kool-Aid. Probably that grape Kool-Aid too. And we talk. Have some biscuits and stuff. No butter. We talk. We give you a platform. We make you feel at home. That's what the Black Press has been doing for 196 years, right? We look after our people, give them the information they need. We could have given Timberland the information he needed before he went all viral by calling out Brittany, even using the word crazy. I used that word one time. There was a publicist for a very famous individual I was talking to. This is like a couple of years ago during the pandemic. And I mean, she was just off the rails. She was off the rails. He was coming on the program and she was just off the rails. And I got to the point where, first of all, celebrity does not impress me. I mean, I respect it. I respect, the talents. But she was this and that. And I was like, you know what? We don't need to have him on the show. And she was like, well, we did this, we did that. We took time. And then she started like talking to, and I finally called her crazy. And oh my gosh, it triggered her. So I've learned not to call people crazy. He did come on the show. That gentleman came on the show and we had a good time. This was back during the pandemic when all the celebrities had nothing to do. And so we would call them up and, oh yes, I definitely want some exposure from the Black Press. And all you guys will watch. David says, yeah, we talk. It's family. And Power 96 says Timberland will be the next on the Me Too hit list. Me Too seems to have lost a little steam, although there's some news out this morning about L.A. Reid. I'm not going to repeat the news because I'm not going into that. But folks, we'll be in Sacramento. In fact, I'm getting on a plane shortly. And Larry Lee and the Sacramento Observer, we're coming. We're coming. Here we come. Here we come. So we won't be live tomorrow morning. At least I don't think we'll be live. I don't know. Greer might say, you're going live regardless. I don't care if you got 30 seconds of sleep. You're going live. So I don't know. Look for us. We'll let you know. Folks, if we don't see you tomorrow, have a great weekend, and we will definitely see you soon. Thanks for watching.